Hi guys, today we are going to talk about Zcash. Is it the next XRP with another 10x potential ahead, or are we already at the top for this coin? Let's find out. Zcash is a layer 1 blockchain focused on privacy. It lets you send transactions so that nobody on the blockchain can see who sent it, who received it, or how much was transferred. It works in two modes, a transparent mode and private one. When you use a T address, your transactions are public and anyone can track them. When you use a Z address, no one can see the amount of the addresses involved. In theory, that sounds great because it uses ZK snarks, a type of cryptography that proves a transaction is valid, without showing any of its data. But in reality, privacy in crypto basically ended after Tornado Cash was shut down, if you know what I mean. So that's basically the whole functionality of Zcash. Even though it's a layer 1 blockchain like Solana, Zcash simply can't even launch basic DeFi protocols on its own chain, let alone memes like we see on Solana. Let's look at the investments in this project. They are ridiculous. Only about $3 million raised back in 2016. You could say it's basically a pocket project of Pantera Capital. On the positive side, the token is listed on almost all top exchanges, probably except for Upbit. Right now, with the price around 600, the token's capitalization is about $9 billion, and that's its full FDV. Now, let's move on the most interesting part, the chart. Zcash is one of the oldest tokens in the market. It was listed back in 2016 at a price of around $2,000. Then came the first alt season in 2017 and it performed really well, first growing from $30 to $450. After that it moved sideways for about 200 days, which already showed that just like now, no one was rushing to buy the token after a big pump. Then from $450 it made a sharp move up to $900. That was a real exit pump, because by that point it had already been trading sideways for over half a year, up about 15x from the lows. For regular retail investors, it's psychologically hard to buy after such a move, but when they see the price drop 50% from $900 down to $500, they think, okay, that's a discount, I'm buying, it will go back to $1,000, and even if not, I'm getting it 50% cheaper. In reality, that's exactly what market makers are counting on, because liquidity always appears during a drop. After that, the bear market began and the token got completely crashed back down to $30. For years it stayed near the bottom, and even during the bull market of 2021 it showed, let's be honest, a weak performance compared to what we saw in 2017, only rising from $50 to around $350, which is just 6x. For that bull run, those were very modest numbers, and then it fell again, right back to around $30. After that, the token basically showed no signs of life at all. When the market started pumping at the end of 2023, Zcash barely moved. It even kept falling a bit, like we saw in December 2023. Then it continued trading in very tight range between $20 and $35. By the end of 2024, when the whole crypto market started a small recovery, but didn't even come close to breaking its early 2024 highs, Zcash suddenly made a 3x move from $25 to $80. And after that, just like the rest of the market, it corrected back down to the $30–50 range. And here is where things get interesting. It didn't drop back to its previous lows from summer 2024, around $20. Instead, it held its range really well. Even in April, when the entire market was bleeding, Zcash was actually showing growth. Then, starting in September, it began slowly climbing toward its local highs, and on September 30, it started a real run. For a whole month, it's been growing almost non-stop, with no major corrections. What's even more interesting, this move is happening without any narrative at all. There is no talk of Zcash is next big privacy chain or anything like that, which means this is a pure manipulation. The current Zcash pattern looks a lot like XRP's. In 2017, XRP made its biggest move ever, and in 2021 it had a much smaller run, more like a dead cat bonds. That's a classic setup when the market maker picks an old project that pumped hard in 2017 but failed to reach new highs in 2021. And now the current cycle pushes it to finally break those old highs. Because even people who bought the top back in 2017 won't sell now because most already capitulated. Some were down here years ago. Some lost access to their wallets, and others completely forgot they even owned the token. That's why in the near future we will start seeing many old tokens making strong comebacks, just like Zcash. I will cover this old altcoin meta in the next video. I have already started buying some of these coins myself. You can check out what exactly I'm holding in my Telegram channel. So right now we need to figure out, will the growth continue or not? If we look at the 2017 chart and compare it today, they look very similar. But this time the token hasn't stopped around $450 like before. It hasn't shown any correction at all and just keeps going up non-stop. Now with the price around 600, everyone's saying don't buy, it's too high, there is no point. And as always, the moment at least half of them change their minds and start saying, well, actually Zcash could still do a 5x from here, that's when we will be at the real top. Right now the market cap is around $9 billion, not small for a completely useless project, but the thing is the whole supply is controlled by a big player, and that means they can pump the price wherever they want, even up to $100 billion market cap, which would be roughly a 10x from here. Everything depends on how greedy that big player decided to be. The fact that the price keeps growing with zero pullbacks shows there are no extra passengers left in the token. If anyone had bought around $30–50, they had already been selling at $300, pushing the price down. That's why usually when a token pumps, we see at least a 30% correction, so that early buyers who got in at $30 can sell at $150 or $200 when they see the price dropping, thinking it will go back to the lows. The hardest part in crypto isn't sitting through a loss, it's holding during a rally, because when you see profits, even small ones, you get scared of losing them and sell too early. So what we are seeing now means there are no weak hands left in Zcash, but does that mean it will go to $7,000? Of course no. If we look at similar charts from other coins, even when the big player controls most of the supply, it's nearly impossible to move the market from small caps all the way to $100 billion. Because as soon as price starts going parabolic, retail starts opening longs, and the market maker has to pay for that. If we take XRP as an example, we can see that it was simply moved into a new trading range and it's been stuck there for a year, right now around its 2017 highs. I expect the same thing for Zcash, a move up into the 1,000–1,200 range followed by sideways trading. Then, as market makers like to do a quick 50% spike to 1,500, a few weeks of distribution and 50% correction back to around $900. And that's when people will start saying, oh, nice discount, it's down 50%, time to buy. After all, the listing price was $2,000, so it still has room to grow. That's the most realistic scenario. Now, let's imagine Zcash keeps climbing at 600, the market cap is already about $8 billion. Right now, there are only 5 projects with a market cap above $50 billion. It's Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, and Solana. After them comes Dogecoin with around $25 billion. So, can we really say Zcash is on the same fundamental level as those 5? Of course no. It will never make it into that league. The absolute ceiling for Zcash is somewhere around $30 billion, somewhere in the same zone as Dogecoin and other hype coins. That means in the best case scenario, the price of Zcash at the very top could reach around $1,800. That's just a 3x from where it is now. And to the downside, it can easily fall all the way back to $30, just as fast as it went up. So from a risk to reward perspective, buying here doesn't make any sense. We have got maybe 3x profit potential versus a possible 95% drawdown. Sure, the token probably won't crash immediately, it might still pump another 50 or even 100% short term, but don't get fooled by the FOMO. Look at the chart. There is no longer the accumulation zone. The accumulation was way lower. Right now we are in the distribution phase. Go back and look at 2017. People back then were saying the same thing. Zcash to $10,000. And what happened? They sat in a drawdown for almost 9 years and only now can finally sell at break even. Do you really want to be that person? You can say, okay, you are criticizing it, what's the alternative? Well, in the next video we will look for altcoins that have a much higher chance to follow the same pattern as Zcash, but from the bottom, not the top. To find those, we will focus on a few key factors. The age of the token, ideally launched before 2021, its fundamentals, it has to be a real project, not a meme, and most importantly the chart. It should look alive. For example, coins like ICP or Filecoin, you can see real market structure there. Strong pumps, deep corrections, new pumps again. That's what a healthy chart looks like. And from a risk-reward perspective, buying something like Filecoin or even ICP right now makes a lot of more sense than chasing Zcash at the top. And if you want to see more about my trades, market activity, and of course upcoming airdrops, check out my Telegram channel, links in the description. Also, if you need exchange, the link as well in the description. That's it for today, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.